Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over the differences between high bar and low bar and what the actual use cases for the two of these exercises are. Let's just quickly establish the difference between high bar and low bar. So in high bar, the bar is placed up on top of the traps. Now there's a pretty big variety here because the traps can be a pretty big muscle group. So what that means is, for the sake of simplicity today, we're going to say that anything above the start of the rear delt is going to be considered a high bar, and anything either right above or on top of the rear delt is going to be considered a low bar. You guys are going to be able to tell pretty easily by these pictures. If it's on the traps, it's a high bar. If it's on the rear delts, it's a low bar. So let's talk about the high bar squat and why it's such an excellent developmental tool. As these slides go on, they're going to be more and more artistic with the background and less related to actual lifting, but they do have a meaning behind each of them. And this one's probably going to be the hardest one, so I'm just going to give it to you. The dragon is supposed to represent the Chinese weightlifters who have the prettiest squat technique. I will flash a video of some of their squats in a high bar stance that are extremely impressive, both from a technical and a weight standpoint. All these reasons here are why high bars are awesome for basically everyone, okay? Less mobility requirements in almost everywhere in your body. It's usually easier on your spine, so if you're someone who's suffering from a disc herniation or something of the like, it's going to be a little easier on that injury. It's easier to hit depth unless you have an ankle mobility issue. And it does not require the upper back and rear delt development to be able to get into position. I find with a lot of skinnier guys and a lot of female lifters, they straight up do not have rear delts for the bar to catch on in low bar. Whereas everyone has at least enough trap development to be able to get into some kind of a high bar squat. As far as from what you gain in the stimulus of high bar, it is hands down the best overall lower body developer there is, bar none. You cannot find an exercise better at developing the quads and the glutes. And also it secondarily trains the spinal erectors, upper back, adductors, and the hamstrings even to a degree, and the calves to a very small degree. Now, this also is paired with a great recovery ability. Most people are going to be able to recover from a hard high bar session in a hypertrophy rep range of say 6 to 10 or so. I would not go that much higher than 10 except in a few circumstances. You're going to be able to recover from that within 2 or 3 days, whereas with a deadlift it might take you a really long time, or with a low bar squat it's going to take you probably closer to that 3-4 day range depending on the person. Also, you are able to get more out of less weight. This is both a blessing and a curse for this movement, as we'll get into. You are able to get a excellent stimulus without using as much weight as you will in a low bar. And that leads us to the downsides. There's really not many. This exercise is fantastic for the vast majority of the gym population. Tom Platz, when he's talking about nothing compares to squats.
Nothing's like squats. I mean, nothing compares to squats. You can do leg presses, but why? Why do an inferior movement? I mean, there's a reason people don't squat. It's hard. It's hard. People don't want what's hard. They want what's easy, what looks showy. Forget about it. In fact, forget about the weight. Just squat correctly. That is the secret.
He's referring to the high bar squat, and particularly the knees way over the toes bodybuilding type of high bar squat. Where the bar is placed on your back has a influence, but it is not the determining factor on what muscles are engaged. Particularly the way bodybuilders and the way Tom Platz did it, it's very far into the quads and into the muscles that are most important on a bodybuilding stage. But the downsides of the high bar squat, the main one here is right at the top. It's not as effective as a competitive movement. I can name one powerlifter who squats high bar in competition, and that's John Hack. And when asked why he squats high bar, his answer is That's how I've always done it, and it's led me to success. So I'm not going to change it. Fair enough, John. But he would lift more low bar, almost certainly, especially with the amount of deadlift strength that he has. There is also more of an ankle mobility requirement because the bar is forced to stay more upright due to the change in moment arms on the back. In order to hit depth, you're going to need at least the same ankle mobility, probably more. And also compared to the low bar squat, for the same reasons that you need more ankle mobility, there's less range of motion on the glutes, adductors, and hamstrings, so there will be less stimulus in that area. But other than that, it's a great general developer. I believe Martins Licis, winner of the 2019 World's Strongest Man, brought up the fact that he heavily debated using high bar squat in competition because he found that he was able to do more reps because of the upright posture, causing him to get less tired. And at the same time, he also used high bar squat to develop the vast majority of his base in his leg power. And obviously that's the world's strongest man right there. He knows what he's talking about. Now let's go over the low bar squat and why I'm dubbing it as the specialist. Low bar squats do have a competitive edge over high bar. For basically everyone, I don't think I've ever met anyone who squats more high bar. Almost everyone is going to be able to squat low bar. The lower you get that bar on your back, the more of a moment arm you're going to have to be able to leverage the muscles of your posterior chain into the movement and not really get any less stimulation from the quads. Also, when you perform this exercise right more than high bar squats, you'll be able to get a stretch reflex unlike any other out of those muscles in your posterior chain, which is just going to amplify the gains that you see from it. Now, you got to keep in mind, it's a party trick, guys. It has a lot of requirements, and it really only has one main upside. So you need the rear delt development to be able to keep the bar on your back and keep it stable and keep it from rolling around. For my clients, this is why I'm always hammering rear delts, even for people who are solely focused on strength. You need that development in your rear delts just to keep the bar from rolling around and causing you to miss lifts. You need some hip and hamstring mobility. I'm learning this the hard way. If you don't have it, you're not going to hit depth, so what's the fucking point of doing this exercise at all? And you do need proper bracing. Now, this one's kind of a weird one because in high bar, the moment arm on your back is actually longer than in low bar. However, in low bar, because the moment arm is shorter, you're forced to be pitched over more for the bar to be over your midfoot and for your center of gravity to be stabilized over your foot. So there is going to be more actual force applied onto your spine. So in order to counteract that, you do have to make sure your bracing is on point. I'd always recommend wearing a belt if you know how to use one properly while you're low bar squatting. Your execution must be on point, guys. I have another video about how I packed on 50 pounds to my squat in 3 weeks. You can go look over that to see the technique changes that I made that I found success with. But really, guys, it's just about being able to find that groove and hammer the technique so that you don't ever fall out of that groove. All right, guys. So here we are, the final answer. Which one should you do more, high bar or low bar? You guys should know the answer by now. It's both. There's situations for both. So, high bar should be used as your primary base building squat, period, end of story. Okay? I've got all these use cases listed here, but if you're just focused on developing the muscles of the squat and of the lower body, high bar is going to be king. The combination of high bar and RDLs is crazy overpowered, and it'll basically blow up everything in your lower body with 2 exercises. Now, on the flip side, I have a good marble and marble statue analogy here, where your high bar is like being able to mine and carve out more marble, but it's just a block of fucking marble. No one cares about a block of marble. What they care about is the statue that you make out of that big block of marble. So, low bar is like getting a chisel and ironing out a perfect statue of you being a Greek god. In this case, this is Hercules pictured. Low bar is that that chisel, being able to refine your ability to lift more weight and get something out of it in competition. So outside of people who are strength athletes and trying to lift more, I would say that for people who are focused on hypertrophy only, so bodybuilders and people who are focused on aesthetics, you can certainly rotate these in as an exercise variation to be able to get some sort of novelty into your training, which is something you guys can kind of leverage to get a lot of progress if you do it the right way. Also, people who have very severe ankle mobility restrictions, if you had surgery or something and you just physically can't get to depth otherwise, obviously do what you have to do to see the progress you need to see in the gym. If you need to get down to depth, can't do it high bar, can't do it knees over toes, do what you have to do, guys. Something I did not list here, if you're trying to get recruited into a sport that is not a strength sport, so football, soccer, basketball, that kind of thing, and having bigger weight room numbers is going to boost that highlight reel for you, so to speak, and boost your recruitability, fucking do it, guys. Like, don't even think about it. If the difference between a 465 high bar and a 500 low bar is the difference between you going to a D1 football program or a D2 football program, just do it. Just do it for a little bit, and then you can go back to high bar and do whatever you need to do to actually improve on the field. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. This video has been delayed by probably 2 full weeks by the time I've actually uploaded this. And I wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate all of your guys' love and support. Please go check out my finale to 16 weeks to 600. I did, in fact, pull the 600 deadlift after that video that went viral. And I would appreciate if the video of me succeeding has an equivalent amount of views to the video where I thought I was failed. So I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.